Mark, what are you doing?
Getting more familiar with the rogues in Absolute Flash. We finally get to
Exactly.
know something about them.
Exactly. After a week off, the Absolute Universe is back with two issues: Absolute Flash and Absolute Batman, and we will cover both of those right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. And hit that notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Another double helping of Absolute issues this week. After a
Double
week off.
bangers, too. What a
Exactly.
strong week. Make sure y'all don't go anywhere. Watch this video to the end. You will not expect what's coming if you haven't read these books.
Exactly. But you'll know exactly what happened after we're done. So,
Yeah.
Absolute Flash. Let's talk about Absolute Flash number 6.
Let's do it. It takes us not to over there, but ago. 6
Exactly.
months
6 months
ago,
ago.
if you will.
Exactly. They finally tell us exactly how far back instead of just saying
Finally
then.
get a specific for once.
Exactly. And we see Digger is in a bar having some fun with some ladies until he goes a little bit too far, and one of the guys in the bar helps protect the lady, throws Digger Harkness out into the parking lot.
Yeah, and as soon as he lands, he looks up, and Colonel West is waiting for him, who has been tracking him down to come have a conversation with him, offering him to come back in. I got a job for you. And Digger's response is interesting. He's kind of disbelieving because of something that happened in the recent past with him and his team, has pretty much blacklisted them. But Colonel West promises that he has a legit job for him, and if you want to come in, you can get to blow some stuff up.
Yeah, wipe his record totally clean and everything. And as soon as West says, like you'll get to blow, as soon as he asks him, "Can I blow stuff up?" and he says yes, he's like, "Okay, I'm in."
Yeah, apparently there is a situation in Syria, a mission that Captain Boomerang was on that didn't go as planned and has ruined his reputation as well as the team he was on.
Exactly. Then we flash back we'll still flashback, I assume, to Wally West's dad, who we find in a hotel attempting to reconnect with Wally, and it's very apparent that Wally is not taking his phone call, hasn't for a while, because he says he's just checking in on him. I want to know how you're doing. Please answer the phone, type thing.
Yeah, this is the first little moment we see him with his defense down, being not just a stern authoritarian of a father, but a caring, sad that he's missing his wife. He's looking at the picture of his wife with Wally, sad that he's not able to talk with Wally, ultimately just going to bed and turning the light out without being able to talk to him. But you're actually seeing this softer side of Colonel West for the very first time.
Mm-hmm. But not the last time.
No.
So then we flash to Leonard Snart, Captain Cold, who is with Lisa. Is that her name? Yeah, Lisa.
Golden Glider.
Who becomes the Golden Glider, right? So we have here how we know these two know each other. We'll find it a little bit later on, but apparently they were together in the armed forces, which is where Lisa.
The serious situation.
Exactly, which is where in this iteration, Lisa has no legs, or actually is below the knees.
Yes, she's a double amputee, and he finds her laying on the ground. He walks inside the house out on this farm, finds her laying on the ground, medication laying around her. She's passed out. He's picking her up, trying to get her in the chair. Like, you can't do this. You have to take better care of yourself. And she's really resistant, saying, I hate this chair. She's clearly resentful toward him, toward herself, the whole situation. And about this time in this arguing of back and forth, if you can't do this to yourself, and her like, what's even the point? Of course I can. There's nothing else. Knock, knock, knock on the door.
And who is it again?
Colonel West.
Colonel West. Who knew?
He goes out and has a conversation with Leonard, and pretty much offering them the same thing. I can bring you back in. I can get you back working again. And he also doesn't believe it, like how they're lucky to not be in jail after the serious situation. And he's like, just come on in. We got this all worked out. I got you covered. Don't worry, kind of thing. And then we go back to Colonel West in the hotel being sad.
Exactly. Again, leaving another message for Wally, but this time there's a knock on his door.
And outside is none other than the crew that he has established.
Right, exactly, including Jesse Owens, or the Trickster in this particular, who is basically she says something that kind of sets everybody off, and that she's put a tracker inside everyone.
In you
subcutaneously.
Yeah, pretty much telling them, I noticed that you were tracking the team down. I decided to come on in myself and see why you're tracking all of us down, knowing ultimately you'd be coming for me, so I would just come to you. And they're like, how did you know this? Like, oh, I put a tracker in you.
Right.
And Lisa wasn't a fan, called her a bad word, and flew off of her wheelchair trying to beat her up. And easy, Trickster, come on in, same spiel, same reluctancy, but ultimately they all are on board, all agree to come in, and that's where they end up at Fort Fox, Colorado, the same place where the accident occurred that granted Wally West these mysterious abilities.
Right. And so we see here, we have them basically going in, and they see, who do they find? But they find the people who are running it, and it is Project Olympus. And it is Barry Allen, of all people, and Dr. Thawne. Can't remember her first name.
It's not Eobard.
No, not Eobard.
It's Eleanor.
Eleanor Thawne, right. And we get a little, there's a quick little actually layout of exactly what's going on there with Project Olympus. Barry kind of takes everyone through it about, how they're not making weapons, they're making people.
Yeah, instead of super weapons, we're making super people. You are the weapon. And we do get one panel I do want to share, because I've been hypercritical about the design of the Flash suit in this series because it's god awful. Even Clayton Crane can't make it cool. He's tried. But in this panel, you get a look at a slew of costumes that evolve along the way. The one on the far end being all red, as a matter of fact. So maybe, just maybe, if we get lucky, this terrible design for Absolute Flash will get an upgrade to a different suit.
Right. And then we get the Trickster, who asks a question of, where did you get all of this from? And that's when we flash even further back to 1944, and we see who we assume is one of Eleanor Thawne's relatives, maybe her grandfather or something. And we see, for the first time in the Absolute universe, we see Jay Garrick.
Yeah, who are on the scene tinkering with this technology where it went south. And we see that Jay gets hit with the machine very similar to how Wally did, or Barry did, and ultimately evaporates into it, where we see almost like energy constructs of a figure, very similar to the abilities that we're seeing through Wally and what happened with Barry. Again, all of this power sets are not defined yet, what it is, how it interacts. We don't know anything on that level yet.
Right.
But it looks like Jay is a part of it now.
Yeah, exactly. So, if they do something with the Speed Force or something, if that's what this ends up being, maybe, that's where we'll see Jay. He'll be in the Speed Force or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. And this isn't just like a quick throwaway. I can't imagine it would be that they would go to the effort to bring him in, to not use him at some point again in the future. So, and then that after Barry and Eleanor to do their big spiel, they all decide they're going to sign up, and that's how they became the Rogues. That's basically the end of how they became the Rogues.
They had the new legs for Golden Glider. Right. They had the boomerangs for Captain Boomerang, who's a pilot who wants to fly something like you get to fly these things. And they had all the right weapons, tricks, and tinkers and toys to really entice them. And they were all on board, especially knowing that they get to go into action again and get to clear their name.
Right. And then we flash not to now, but to present day.
Kind of similar, a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. And we start off again seeing Wally West's dad, Rudy.
We pick up right where we left him off at the end of the last issue, when he's starting to get curious about what Project Olympus is truly up to, and went to that classified door that he opened, and on the inside it looked like there was a flying saucer and some aliens and jars and stuff. And we pick up right there with that flying saucer, with the rows of specimens and large containment jars. And now that they've mentioned Roswell, it's almost like, is this tied to the 1947 Roswell crash, or what are we doing here? Is this alien technology? Is that where he gets the speed abilities now?
it'd be interesting to know where that goes. But he's calling Wally again, and he says, what happened to your mother wasn't your fault. So
I
that's
messed up.
yeah, exactly. But then as soon as he is there talking, and Wally finally answers, as soon as that happens, suddenly he's got a hood put over him. He's dragged to the ground, and we see Eleanor Thawne, who basically takes a nice little hurricane and basically crashes the phone and kills it. So we'll see where that goes. But that's where the
To be
issue ends.
continued.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
What'd
Wes
you
says,
think of this retooling of the rogues? It kind of explains why they weren't slow rolled into the series. Like each one of these rogues could have been their own story arc separate from each other, but they kind of introduced them as a team, and now we see that they were in fact a team.
yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think we're only 6 issues in, but it's like Jeff Lemire is he's creating, which he's got to do obviously with the Absolute Universe, but he's creating his a familiar yet unique type of history.
And this issue specifically added a lot of depth to character, and the whole Jay Garrett thing, obviously that's not going to be a one-off. That'll be revisited. At this point, I'm thinking that between Jay and Barry, I don't think we have a Flash family. I don't think we have a Speed Force. I think we have the would-be Flash family is the Speed Force in this. I bet that they are inside of Wally at this point, because we've seen him use his abilities in that almost like mirror version of himself made of the energy, like separate than him. When he's stressed out and he's like blowing off all that energy, you see the shapes of figures. I'm wondering if those are passengers with him, like Barry and Jay are passengers along the way now. Be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. I never thought of that, but yeah, it might absolutely be. We'll see. Keep following Absolute Flash. But oh man, this
holy potatoes!
Wow.
Yeah, god dang.
Absolute Bane.
This was Batman AF, as Scott Snyder intended.
Exactly. We get the history. We get the origin of Bane finally in this particular issue, and it's being narrated. The entire thing is being narrated, I believe, by Alfred, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Alfred, the only person familiar with the happenings to a degree of Arc M, of the Man Who Doesn't Smile, of Deathstroke, of these experiments, the one who sent Bruce into the facility. We find out unarmed when there's more information he could have gave him, but he knew if he did, you wouldn't even go in there. But he's now feeling regretful about it, and it's made apparent through this origin story he's giving.
Right. So we get the like I said, we get the origin of we get the first thing where it's almost kind of he's starting to feel bad. Alfred's starting to feel bad for sending him in and not telling him everything, because he talks about I can't believe we talked about this and I sent you in just to have him break your back.
Yeah, it's like he's writing him a letter that he hopes he'll find one day, because he's missing right now. Batman's missing. We, the reader, know that he's locked up in Arc M being experimented on. Right.
And then we do he doesn't even, Scott Snyder doesn't even do with a now or then or whatever. We know we went back to the beginning of the history of Saint Prisca. And how it was a war-torn country, how there were rebels,
freedom fighters, rebels, just the stereotypical kind of stuff you see in Central America and Africa and stuff like that.
And as soon as the rebels started to gain an upper hand, then foreign fighters came in and basically defeated them, and then everyone that was a freedom fighter is now in jail. And so we got a little countdown of everything that's happening in jail.
As well as the narrative, this hopeful narrative that the freedom fighters hold of this bird that's it's inspiring to them and everything. And as Bane learns of this bird, it's kind of like not a bird of prey. It's kind of like this weak little symbol, and he wanted something more. And he had this dream of said bird, but instead of it just being this weak bird, he had this dream of it being a bird of prey where its tail feathers were that of a skull, which it gives us the origin of his mask. It's the wings and the tail feathers of this bird of prey that he had in his dream. And while in jail, he's pumping iron.
Exactly. Come to find out that bird is a phoenix. That we'll come to find out a little bit later on. But yeah, so we go through the whole thing of he counts down the years and everything. He's pumping iron. And
while this is happening in the city, Bane pulls up in a boat and he's walking through the city. What we assume is toward Batman, and he can't be stopped by the people patrolling. He's taking out like military officers, law enforcement. So it does a little back and forth. All of these Absolute books, you do the back and forth thing. I don't know if it's a mandate or what.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess when you're, I mean, it's easier to not do it in the regular universe because you already have, 80 years of history. But when you're trying to
Mhm.
create a new universe, I guess you got to kind of, create it as you go along. And so
Yeah,
maybe that kind of, necessitates it. But flashback again to the Saint Prisca, and basically when they've all been released now, and we find Bane.
they break free, right? They
Right,
break free,
exactly.
him
Yeah.
and his dad, with him kind of leading the
Yeah.
charge. Now he's grown up. They've been in jail a long time. He's massive. He's motivating the troops. They break free, storm the area. He masks up for the first time. They hop in boats and they're heading to take back what they almost had all those years ago. And when they get there, it's not what they expect. They're welcomed with open arms by this man in white who doesn't smile.
Correct. And we know who that is.
We do. It's the
Yeah.
freaking Joker who has an
Freaking
offer
Joker.
for them, who saw them coming. It seems like it's part of a bigger plan. And he walks up to the smiling man who speaks with him, whispers something to him, and then gets on his helicopter and flies away. And
Mhm.
Bane turns around, walks back to his band of rebels, and puts a hand on his father's shoulder, who's been his guiding light, his inspiration, his motivation that kept him going and kept him moving. And he puts his hand on his shoulder and then grabs his dad and kills him with a squeeze. He breaks his back.
Yeah, so we'll find out a little bit later that the Joker, basically what he did was he promised, basically all he promised to modernize Saint Prisca, and with new schools and hospitals and everything, um, for in exchange apparently for the loyalty of Bane. So
To get rid of that which came before.
right. So then when we flash from Bane killing his father to, we see a couple of things that Bane may have done in different places. He's blowing up what looks like part of London Bridge. He's doing some of those things. But we also
Did you catch how this is some really smart writing right here.
yeah,
This is really smart. This is where our true record of him start. They give us
right,
his origin story, and then Alfred talks about the stuff that he can confirm or acts
right,
from Bane, and he's been a global threat, an operative working for his means, and he took out a diplomat on a plane, which is a big time conspiracy theory with a lot of disappearing in planes that go down. If you check flight manifests of the people that are on them and some of their professions, it leads to conspiracy theories. He's crediting that to Bane in this book. A journalist slain in Dubai. Just Google what's his name, Khashoggi.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's like all of this stuff is great. How it's not a direct reference to the real world, but it's stuff that people in the real world say like these kind of things really happen in real life. So it's an elevated threat level to Bane in the book because your brain's like, man, that kind of stuff happens. And for this one person to be like moving all these pieces, it's really making him a formidable badass.
But then we then flash to what is current, and we finally see the battle. We see Batman, and Bane actually is searching for Batman. Bane finds Batman, and then the battle is on. Wasn't that great? It's a great panel. Almost as good as the next 2 pages.
Yeah, Clay Mann is a phenomenal artist.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to the 2-page splash of them facing off, and Alfred's kind of going through a little. This will happen when y'all meet face to face kind of thing in the street. You'll be prepared for him. You'll take some hits. You'll amp him up. You'll lead him into your trap and set off all the bat bombs you had planned, kind of thing, knowing that he's stronger than you. And you see him walk through the trap. You see bombs go off. You see what should be the moment Batman would have won, but Bane is still coming. He's still walking through the fire, and he just comes straight through and smacks him, grabs him, takes his axe from him, slices his arm off, smacks him, slices his other arm off, has him just laid out, armless. Like it gets absolutely savage from there.
Yeah.
If you thought that was savage, you didn't know what you're getting into. Takes the axe head itself, the big armor piece, and just starts bashing his face in to the point of just shattering his face, like eyeball hanging out the bottom. And then back to Arc M with him.
Yeah, Bane goes totally Monty Python and the Holy Grail on him.
He does. He goes Negan from The Walking Dead too.
Yeah, he exactly. And then we see, like you said, we flash back to Arkham M, where there's some surgery that's being done um, on a person who we will find out who that is in just a second. And then we flash again back to the island where Bane is there with his son, and they're at a grave looking at I believe it is his father's gravesite. Um, I could be wrong, but it doesn't really actually say. It just has a picture of a uh, of a phoenix.
Yeah, it's definitely his dad's grave. Gotta
Yeah.
be.
And then we get the very next full page, and we find out exactly what happened with as part of the surgery. We find out we have Batman.
This is their goal for Batman. Reconstructed, juiced up.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they want for Batman and the city.
Right. But Bane still does not believe that Batman has been broken yet. And so on the final page of the issue, we find out that Bane is actually going for Bruce Wayne's closest friends. We see the Riddler, we see Penguin, and I think Harvey Dent, I think, are the three that are there, with a huge Bane shadow hovering over them. And that's really the issue. He says, you know what, if I can't break you one way, I'll break you a different way. And by going after those that you love, basically. And that's kind of where the issue ends. But man, it was intense. Scott Snyder, I don't know. I mean, I think he's just saying, having fun. Like, what's the most ridiculous thing, the most savage thing I can think of? Let me put it in the issue somewhere.
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I saw a line in here. I'm trying to go back and find it. But he mentioned while they were doing the surgery, amping him up, they're talking about how this procedure has never been fully worked on anyone except Bane. There's been other people who've gone under the knife to a degree of the procedure. We have KG Beast in Russia, another in the Middle East. I'm wondering who that might be. Naturally, my mind likes to go to Ra's al Ghul, but we know his involvement and participation inside of Superman. So I'm wondering who that could possibly be. And Alfred mentions the one that I have dealt with firsthand, which is Deathstroke.
Right. Yeah. So they're connecting. Like I said, they're connecting all the different pieces. So apparently, whatever's come out of Arkham has managed to infiltrate the rest of the world, and they're in the Flash. They're making superhumans in a little bit different way, but the super villains, and Arkham is making supervillains in their way by using that venom and kind of reconstructive surgery, making them into some sort of supervillain type thing.
Mm-hmm. And there is another line in here that Alfred was talking to him, and he talking about undergoing this. And I think it's going to be something that they go back to, where he was talking about how you're going to have to give in and let yourself be broken so that you can be reborn like he was. Mm-hmm. But if you go back and look at it, like that whole concept of what's going to make one of y'all like the more exceptional person through all of this is allowing yourself to be broken and reborn. And Alfred says like Bane was, but Bane didn't allow himself to be broken. He broke his father in order to achieve this, where I think that's going to be the defining difference between the two, that Bane never did the self-breaking thing.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting. I think in the main universe, because there's a little bit of depth to this stuff. In Nightfall, Bane broke the Bat physically. Mm-hmm. In this, the goal isn't to break him physically. They've already done that and then put him back together and done it again. It's to completely break him psychologically.
Mm-hmm. And what, it's hard to believe, but we're going up on issue 12 next month. It's been a year since the Absolute Universe kicked off, and it's still going strong. We're up to they just announced this week an 8th printing of issue 1.
Oh, thank God!
Yeah, and they're up to like a 5th printing of some of the other ones, at least. I think 7. I think for Wonder Woman. So I believe it's 8th for Batman #1, 7 for Wonder Woman, and 6 for Superman #1.
And so down the line.
Yeah, exactly. They're already up to like third printings of some of the latest ones, even like Green Lantern and Absolute Manhunter. And
Yeah, I can't wait for that next Green Lantern issue to see what's up with John Stewart as the Yellow Lantern. Like we're finally getting into OA, Omega Alpha, and everything. Like,
yeah, yep. Can't wait. We'll be here to cover it all. So again, don't forget, before you leave, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, hit the like button. We appreciate all those things. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. I am Paul.
we will see you Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Guess That Key. That's this week.
Yes, that's this week.
This week. Along
with Mark, we also have Remy Q coming up, and we have Brother John. So good, a newbie and then a veteran. So of Guess That Key. So looking forward to that. Subscribe. Yeah, exactly. Subscribe. But that's going to be it. As always, I am Paul. Like I said, he is Mark.
Well, we are Legion.
And you're now leaving Sector 28.